Hello everybody, it is Astrid, and I'm going to be going over some basics of chainmail today. So chainmail actually has its roots in armor, first and foremost. It was made to protect people from slashing weapons, and is to date the best thing that we have ever found for slashing. So butchers still use it today, shark suits are made out of it. There are millions of different uses for chainmail that are still in use today. So it is one of the oldest forms of armor that's actually still in use. And it's kind of migrated slowly over time. It's gone from being armor to being jewelry. So you have bigger pieces like 4-in-1, this is going to be a shirt, down to jewelry pieces. The more intricate designs make wonderful pieces of jewelry. And then you have fun sculptures. Now, if you're looking to get started into making chainmail, there's a few things you're going to need. You're going to need pliers. You can have all kinds of different ones to choose from. I prefer a chisel tip for the sizes that I use with 18 gauge. And then my offhand is just an older pair of pliers. You can get some needle nose. Now, if these have teeth, you want to have them removed, so you can grind those down with any kind of belt sander or something, so you can kind of see there. So these I use for steel if I'm ever doing anything with a larger gauge steel wire. And then bent nose pliers. I like these for scale mail. It's very important that they don't have teeth, just because it can mar the rings, especially if you're newer. But pliers are going to be the number one thing that you're going to need. And with holding pliers, it isn't just a matter of like holding them, like this. I recommend having a light pressure. So this one is wrapped because I broke my hand at one point. But I like to rest in the palm of my hand here, gentle pressure here, and I barely put anything on it here. Most of my grip is actually going to be through my ring finger and middle finger, so kind of do this here. I like to leave my forefinger and my thumb open because I like to hold on to my projects. So if I am working on something, I can kind of do this here, turn, do the thing there. And this way you maintain a light pressure, because you do not want to have you don't want to death grip it. You want to have a very light pressure when you're holding your pliers. It's going to save your wrists in the long term, and it's just going to be better overall, because you're less likely to mar rings if you have a light pressure. So that is kind of the overview on what I do with my pliers. Again, kind of rest it along this area here. If that doesn't work for you, find something that works for you. But I recommend having a light pressure. I'm barely putting anything. I could do all of my chainmail in theory like this. Not going to, but again, I like to have my finger and thumb free so I can look at my project, look at where I'm going, quickly go in, fix what I need without putting my project down. Because I believe the less you put your project down, the faster you can go. Now, same thing goes when you have a larger grip. Like, I'm barely putting any pressure, and I don't need to put a lot of pressure on it. If I'm opening rings, now the main reason behind all of the light pressure is if I'm opening a ring, I just quick turn and it's open. I might open it a little bit more, but that is about as wide as I would open my rings for any project. And then I can just come back in here and close it. And that gives you a pretty decent close. So if you are first getting started, I would recommend just going through, closing a bunch of rings, so if you're first getting started on chainmail, I would recommend just finding out where where your pressure is for how much you need to turn your wrists. And an easy way to do that is practice opening and closing rings. So if you just sit here for whatever project you're working on and close a bunch of rings, make sure they're nice and closed. If you run your finger over them, they don't catch. This will, over time, become muscle memory, and then you can just go through a project and you don't have to worry about how your closes are, because your closes are going to be your most important. Closes are going to be very important later on, because the better your closes, the more likely your stuff is going to be liked by a lot of people. Because if you have something that is very beautiful, but then somebody runs their finger on it and gets scratched, or they just don't like it, they're not going to buy it. You want to remember, don't put too hard of a pressure. So me having this light pressure when I go to open this ring will mean I just do a quick twist out. Now if the ring was cut the other direction, I would, like if it was cut this way, I would push this way out. But it is not, so I'm just going to close it. Kind of wiggle a little bit. You're not going to get it right on the first try. And there we go. Now, because I've twisted this ring, you can see a slight line. And that means that this ring has been damaged. So I'm not going to use this anything, but I'm going to show you what happens if you hold too hard. So I'm going to death grip this now. So you can see how I've damaged the ring there. And another thing, if you're opening rings, don't push. So I was just pushing my hands together like this, because this is what you will get. And opposite that, don't pull them away from each other. So it's just pulling like this, because that is going to also, you're not going to be able to close your ring. So light pressure, quick twist, opens the ring, no problem. Quick twist back, closes the ring. So if you just practice that, open a bunch of rings, close a bunch of rings, that's a good way to get started on any project really. And then you can go from there. Now, some of the basic materials that you can use are going to be galvanized steel, aluminum, both anodized and unanodized, stainless steel, and then you can get into the fancy metals with gold, silver, brass, copper, niobium, and titanium. So those are some really fancy metals. I don't have any of those on hand right now, but I do use a lot of like stainless steel, mostly anodized aluminum because of the bright colors you can get. I've done stuff with galvanized steel, and it gets this kind of, over time it will turn a bit more black, but this is just for a sample piece. So, and then unanodized aluminum. So this is kind of that same thing. This would leave a rub off if I were to mess with it too much. So kind of going over some of the different patterns you can make. The weaves. So this is a European 4-in-1. This is a standard weave. So you have one ring for every 4. So if this is your one, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. This is 6-in-1. Kind of see the texture of it there. This is Dragonscale. Has an interior ring and an exterior ring. Very flexible. Jelly cubes are made with a Japanese foreign one that is stacked on itself. And then we can get into scale mail as well, which scale mail is just European foreign one, where the scale is actually your one ring that's pre-closed already. And then most of these I am going to be having tutorials up soon, and if there's a specific one you're looking for, be sure to let me know down below. If you think I've missed anything or you have any other questions, please also ask me below or reach out on any of my socials. So be sure to like and subscribe, and as always, I look forward to making something amazing with you soon. Bye!